Hello, 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 everybody. It's so good to see all of your digital non-existent faces in the chat. Welcome to Arc 4, Episode 5 of Transplanar RPG's main campaign. Woot woot! I am Connie. I am your game master and producer. My pronouns are they, he, and she. And this is Transplanar RPG. If you don't know what we are or who we are an all transgender, people of color-led, 100% homebrew, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition live-streamed actual play campaign set in an original non-colonial anti-orientalist world. You can find me on Twitter, Patreon, and itch at by Connie Chong. And as a reminder, we do stream our D&D campaign Saturdays at 3 p.m. US Central Time on Twitch right here. So tune in every week for this lovely, lovely show. With that out of the way, I'm going to pass along introductions to Lyra.
Hello everyone, my name's Lyra. Excuse me, I use they, she pronouns. I'm still a little bit sick, so forgive me if I, cough a little bit. I'm the artistic director of Shout, Minnesota's trans and gender diverse voices in all trans choir based in the Twin Cities. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Shout Minnesota. And I'll pass introductions to Erica.
Hi everybody, I'm Erica. She, her pronouns. I play Vinox Scherzo, the physical embodiment of the Love Shack of Scott and Nectus, of course. You can find me on any social media platforms at Erica Newgirl. I am a Twitch streamer. I say things that I regret instantly, which reminds me, I just started a podcast called The Scorpio's Den, where each episode is me telling stories about my life, which I will instantly regret sharing with you. If that sounds like fun. If you've been to my stream, it's basically that content captured in podcast form. I'll release a new episode next week. I've already released one episode. It's on Spotify and Podbean right now. Yeah, check that out. Max, would you like to go next?
I will. Hey, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me once in a while on Instagram and Twitter at Starchmonger, where I talk about nothing. I don't really talk about much, but I will like your stuff. I'll pass it to C.
Hi y'all, my name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I just got top surgery, so I can't lift my hands any higher than right here. So I'm a little gremlin now. I play the former Prince Oka, who's basically having the worst family reunion imaginable, and considering how most family reunions go, it's pretty bad. Going pretty bad. You can find me posting very gay, very trans art on my social medias when I'm not a dinosaur, at PieSharp and occasionally streaming said very gay, very trans art here on Pie_Sharp. And I'll pass it over to Connie.
Yay! So congratulations to C for top surgery. Let's get some Pog Frog in chat, Manilove in chat. Let's get some hype in chat. And now let's move into, as always, a huge shout out and appreciation for our Patreon Paragons. These are patrons pledged to our highest tier on Patreon. So thank you so much to all of you trans queer nerds for supporting other trans queer nerds. Abigail Reitel, Azura, Brooke Bright, Cassidy Barnes, Charles, Chiacres, Cora Eckert, Lex Slater, Moonflower T, Purple Mouse, and of course, Risa. And as always, a special haiku for you. And I have not messed this up once, just so y'all know. Y'all are wrong in chat. Y'all are wrong. This is the correct, accurate haiku. Count them. Read them and weep. Who's the assassin? Queen Morguilian? Oka's mom? Or could it be V? That is my haiku. I'm gonna pass it along to C.
Okay.
Oh god, I'm so slow. My little hands. Okay, here we are. All of Arc 1, the whole thing, the whole shebang, all 15 episodes are now available wherever you get your podcasts. So don't forget that those drop every Tuesday at the ass crack of dawn. And please consider leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Music, as it does really help support us in this stream. Patrons do get early access to those polished podcast episodes, as well as exclusive character sheets, GM notes, which I feel like just dropped this week, some interesting GM notes for this session coming up, as well as a chance to have your Tabletop OC cameo in our live stream, and you can use the exclamation point Patreon to chat. Also, Andake Anthologies. I'm so bad at this. I'm so much pain. Volume 1 of Andake Anthologies, The Hounds of Mercy versus Mercy, 7 Evil Axes, and all of Andake. Episode 5 streams this coming Tuesday, October 19th at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Get ready for Duran's hot girl summer in the Pirate Cove and set Lolly dealing with being the paragon of the Raven Queen.
Great, and now let's move on to Erica.
Hi, everybody. It's my favorite part where I get to thank people. We love here at Transplanar to thank people who donate, whether it's through the monthly donations or through subbing, gift subbing, cheering, hosting, and rating. And these are those folks during Arc 4, Episode 4. Pie Sharp, Risa Malima, Chill Acres, Lilith Official, and Eugene Marshall. Moving on to this episode, just like in our past two, actually several episodes, we are divesting from Twitch's subsystem until Twitch gets its shit together. So instead of a sub goal, we have a donation goal of $200. Check out these brand new incentives. At $25, $50, $75, and then $100, one random PC will get a point of inspiration. At $125, we unlock collective inspiration. At $150, we unlock an auto crit, which anyone at the table can use, including GM Connie. And finally, at $200, we get a huge lore drop from GM Connie. All right, you can use command, or as I just learned yesterday, bang donate. Apparently, that's something Scruff says in chat to pull up the donation link. If you're confused, exclamation point donate is what I mean. There you go. Max, please, I'm confused. I need to know what's happening in this. What happened last time?
I'm always confused. You can always get to our recap document, newly updated, by using the exclamation point or bang recap in the chat, or by going to bit.ly/transrecap. The T and the R are capitalized. If you don't feel like reading right now, here is what I wrote down. In front of an audience of Dewey, Manaya, V, Rev, their ex-fiancé Halo, and a gaggle of guards, Oka faces off against their mother father, the Emperor. They manage to land a few hits, but y'all, it's the motherfucking Emperor and Paragon of Motion Jidi. She casts Power Word Kill, which does exactly what it sounds like. Luckily, we're talking about local god taxi Oka Hien here, and Vinash rears their head, yells at her, and then attacks the Emperor with Oka's body. Manaya and Dewey discharge some of the energy, so Oka isn't entirely consumed, while V, Rev, and their god shards do their best to take down the Emperor to no avail. Having technically fulfilled their royal duties of killing Oka, the Emperor backs off. She takes the opportunity of this meeting of 6 paragons to fill them in on a plot to assassinate her and weaken Andake that she saw in a prophecy. She can't know who they're looking for, and she can't personally act on the information. She asks the party to quietly investigate. It's got to be an inside job, so they are to talk to the entire extended royal family and find out who's suspicious. So, anticipated murder mystery, here we come. I will pass it to Lyra for the title of today's episode.
Of course, of course. Moving on to the title of our core episode 5. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. As always, the titles of our episodes are taken from poems or songs written by queer, trans, and/or people of color. The title of this episode, My Dreams Now Look Like Spears, is from this book right here that I have in my hands, Yesterday I Was the Moon by Noor Unahar, and the full verse reads as follows. Ahem. My dreams now look like spears that I have to hold upside down. Clench too tightly and I will bleed. Hold too tightly and they will fall.
Thank you, Lara. That is a beautiful verse. Yesterday I Was the Moon. Great book. Check it out if you haven't already. And now moving on to the session itself. Let's get started. As a reminder, Transplanar RPG is set in a grim, dark, gritty fantasy world that deals with some pretty difficult subjects that are potentially triggering to some viewers. So some content warnings for our campaign and this episode may include nightmares, death, fantasy violence, horror, gore, toxic and abusive relationships, guns, natural disasters, alcohol and substance use, addiction, memory loss, emotional trauma and baggage, self-destructive behavior, bloodletting, cult and cult-like behavior, and anxiety and panic attacks described in detail. Use exclamation point CW, bang CW for a list of these content warnings in chat, and bang safety for a list of the cast's lines and veils to know what subjects we will definitely not broach no matter how dark things get. So, with that out of the way, let's begin. Gather around, children, and listen to my tale about the Emperor's divine ascension. Long before any of you were born, Tu Long was ruled by someone else. His name was Emperor Zhu, and he was not a good man. He threw decadent parties, squandering his kingdom's gold to fuel his own luxury. While his people languished in poverty outside the gates of the Slumbering Palace, Emperor Zhu ate lavishly and ignored his subjects' cries for help. Under his rule, the kingdom's coffers ran dry. Zhu's magistrates were even forced to borrow money from our neighbors, putting our great kingdom into the debt of other nations. But Zhu didn't care. The only thing that mattered to him was pleasure and opulence, even as the people at the gates of the palace starved and cried and begged for mercy and help. All because Zhu had been born into royalty. His 8 spouses and their children were all the same. They attended Zhu's parties, they flattered him, they ignored the plight of their people. All of them, except Xiong Zhen, daughter of Consort Xiongdu, the 8th wife. Though she was but the 16th born, Princess Xiong Zhen saw the negligence that her father's reign had wrought upon the people. She walked the streets of Dokao, and she learned their names, and she felt their suffering. Mengshen Zhidi blesses each emperor, this is true. But when bad things happen in the kingdom, this is also a sign of his wisdom's displeasure. Emperor Zhu had strayed from the path of enlightenment. Something had to be done. And so, Princess Xiongzhen, 16th born daughter of Xiongdu, 8th wife to the emperor, did it. One night, during one of Emperor Zhu's decadent feasts, the princess stormed the great hall, and she slew her father. She slew her father's spouses, and she slew her half-siblings, until the banquet hall ran red with their blood. And then she threw open the gates of the Slumbering Palace, and she let the people in, so they could see what had been done. She knelt before them, and she offered her neck to the executioner's block, and she awaited the divine verdict. But the people did not strike her down. The people surged forward, and they lifted her up, and upon their lips they chanted Emperor. And that, my children, is the story of our emperor's divine ascension. Her tale finished, Consort Arden Hien settles back into her wheelchair. Children cluster at her feet, their eyes blown wide with wonder. A stream gurgles nearby. Persimmon trees dapple the 4th wife's courtyard with sweet-smelling shadows. Consort Hien's drow eyes are bright as she tells this story, but tired. Here is a woman who has endured much in her life and has come out on the other end with grace intact. A silver pin, shaped like a set of elk's horns, adorns her long black hair. Unlike the other nobles of the Slumbering Palace, Consort Hien keeps her hair down, instead of spun and twisted up into elaborate shapes. But recently, the years or something else has been catching up to her. Exhaustion hangs heavy on her face, and underneath her pale pink and white robes, her shoulders are slender, almost frail, emaciated. Her stone-colored skin is paper-thin, almost translucent, and wrinkles, new wrinkles, speckle the space around her temples. A tiefling child in the crowd raises their hand, the son of some minor noble.
8th wife, why did the emperor have to kill her father king? Couldn't they have just talked?
At this, the other children laugh at their ignorance, but Consort Hien just smiles. That's a great question, little sparrow. You see, the emperor had tried all manner of tactics to get her father king to listen, but he just wouldn't. Sometimes, very rarely, but it does happen, death is the only way forward. She's about to say more when her eyes land on someone standing at the gate. Arden freezes. Her eyes widen, and the little color left in her cheeks drains away. Oka, why don't you describe what your mother sees as you're silhouetted against the open archway of the Hien's courtyard?
Great. So I still have 1 HP. And I had been covered in blood, but I think that on their way to the courtyard, Oka kind of would have like ducked between a copse of like thicket kind of in one of the rock gardens and literally like washed themselves in the water, right? And it like would have run red. So now they're kind of like wet and dripping with water like off the ends of their hair, and they have this new bolt of red, like this bright redness that kind of just like splits through their left eye. I don't really know, one of their eyes. And they're standing there with like one hand kind of on this like stone archway, still holding on. And they also look exhausted, like they just died and came back to life, which is exactly what happened. So a little bit dripping wet, sad, and kind of stricken, like they're just like stuck there, completely frozen in place. Like they were coming in with purpose, but they can't take another step forward.
The children clustered at your mother's feet turn to look, and they just sort of cock their heads. I don't think any of them really recognize you, but their eyes fall on your dripping, soaking wet form. And your mother, Arden, says, "Children, I think that's it for story time today. Why don't you all go home? Back to your own courtyards. I have a visitor." And with that, some of the ladies in waiting like help usher the children like out of the courtyard, and the kids leave, leaving just you and your mother in this garden. Makoya.
At the use of their old name, Oka kind of like stumbles forward, like they're no longer frozen in place. They take a few steps, but they're so weak still. I think that they like literally like stumble, like they're trying to like move toward her as fast as they can, but they can't really control the way that their feet move, and they kind of like tip like and they like fall onto their knees a few feet away from her, like in the courtyard. But they keep scrambling. They like pick themselves up a little like desperately, and they're almost like crawling on their hands and knees toward her.
Your mother rolls her wheelchair forward. I think like a lady in waiting like rushes forward to like help her, but she raises a hand to do it herself. She like rolls forward and like meets you halfway. And I think like the two of you are looking at each other, and there's just sort of like a persimmon tree in the back, and like autumn leaves are falling golden and brown and dead, like swirling like behind the two of you, and you like hear the gurgling of a stream nearby, and you're looking up at your mother, up at a face you have not seen in 7 years. And she's looking down at a face she hasn't seen in 7 years. Her eyes are wide. "Oka, Makoya, oh, my child, oh." And she like leans forward in her wheelchair to like, catch you as you're falling.
I think Oka is still kind of like on their knees, and they've like crawled forward to the point where they're like just like knelt in front of her. I think maybe like the size they were when they were a child, and they would like kind of like put their hands on her knees as she was sitting in her wheelchair and like look up at her. I think they kind of like do the same thing now, like like that memory like folding in on itself as they like put their hands like over her hands, kind of like on her lap, and then they just kind of like rest their forehead down like on her hands. Ma, I'm sorry. I'm here.
Shh, it's okay. It's okay, Makoya. It's going to be okay. And she's just sort of like stroking the little stubble of your hair on your head, and holding you like on her knees. Like she's locked her chair in place so she won't roll off, and is just holding you close to her. And I think for like a while she's just sort of like murmuring like these like comforting words to you, and holding you and pulling you close. And you haven't smelled your mom in like 7 years either, and it's like such a comforting, warm smell that you've almost forgotten. But now that you're here and you're full of it, it's like it was with you this whole time.
Yeah, I think Oka stays there for like a long time, and I don't think they even realize they're crying until like they look up finally. you know. I Yaya said you were in trouble. And they kind of like reach up and like touch her cheek. What's going on? What's wrong?
Makoya. And you see as you look up, your mom is also, like, her cheek is wet. She's been crying while you've also been crying on her knees, but very gently. She speaks. Her voice isn't broken when she speaks, but it is tenuous. And she says, I'm okay. You don't have to worry about your mother. It's you that I'm worried about. If you're here, if guards aren't after you, then that can only mean one thing. Your mother, father, they.
It doesn't matter. Look. And they kind of like, they look like shit. Still, they kind of like pat at themselves. I know I look a little different than the last time, but I'm still here to take care of you like I said I would be. It's fine. Figured it out.
Have you come home at last? Are you here to stay?
And then it's suddenly like Oka can't meet her eyes. They like look down at their hands that are clasped like with hers. And they like fold like a thumb, like again this like memory of like a comforting motion like over her knuckles. I'm here as long as you need me to be.
Koya, are you here to stay? Or are you just here to say goodbye again?
I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. The river just takes me and I don't know where it's pulling me and I don't know where I'm going and I don't know why. But I had to come back. I had to come see you.
It's just the selfish request of your mother, but don't leave. Makoya?
I'm here. I'm right here. And they kind of like put their head back in her lap. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere now. I'm right here now.
And your mother holds you close and does not speak a word. And I think for a long time, the two of you just sort of hold each other in that courtyard. Your childhood courtyard where you grew up. The shade of that self-same tree that you saw bloom from a sapling. And in that moment, I think we're going to cut away from this courtyard and cut into a very different courtyard on the other side of the Slumbering Palace. Manaya, Dewey, V, and Rev, Halo, this pink-skinned, snow-colored tiefling, has led the four of you into a section of the guests' courtyard here in the palace. It's connected by a series of archways and these like beautiful like double and triple tiered buildings that have these like sliding doors that open up. And one of these doors, Halo opens up, steps onto a deck and opens it. And inside you see like a real nice bedroom, not gonna lie, it's real nice. You see some like a soft, like a hard mattress actually, but there's like tons of pillows and like blankets all around, like structures and furniture made of burnished and polished wood. You see like these tea sets in these like glass display cases that look like servants dust it every minute. You know, it's like polishing and gleaming. And these little like, they're currently inert because it's not quite evening yet, but these little like gray globes sort of float toward the ceiling. These are like dancing lights that will like turn bright and turn on to sort of fill the space with ambient light when the sunless sky starts to darken. Halo opens up this room and says, well, this entire complex is the 4 of yours. I will make sure to log it and take care of any other logistics that might be applicable here. Why don't the 4 of you get settled in for the evening and perhaps talk amongst yourselves about the reason why you're all here? And with that, she lingers on Dewey, maybe like still holding a stack of your business cards. Like her eye lingers on it. She turns to the rest of you and says, any questions before I attend to some of my duties?
I think V runs straight for a bed and leaps onto it and like lands on it, and she's just like, well, I've got no questions. This is. I remember now what I love about this city so much. Comfort. So comfortable.
V, what's interesting is that the beds are actually kind of like the hardness of tatami a bit. So it's like hard beds. So when you leap onto it, bam! I think your hip cracks a little. Like as you like pile drive yourself into it, but maybe you're like trying to play it off.
Yeah, oh, definitely. As soon as she lands on it, it stiffens up and like puts the hand behind the head and just like, yep, this is great. I love it here. This is the best dream empire city I've ever known.
Well, the beds are made specifically to have good posture at night. Sleep on your back. They're not very comfortable otherwise. And Halo's like lingering on your like wince.
This is fine. This is absolutely fine. In fact, it was more it was the shoulder pads that hurted more than the actual bed. We're fine. This is fine. Everything is fine. I'm so grateful to be here.
Myself and the Emperor, we extend our gratitude to the 4 of you for helping us with our problem. Anything else I can get the rest of you? Would you like some drinks, snacks, while you settle in for the night?
Where did anyone see where Oka went?
Oka left to see their mother and their sisters, I believe. They should be back before the evening.
I see.
Question, Halo.
Yes.
You saw ahead of time that I was going to do that, didn't you?
A good dream prophet never tells. Otherwise, the course of the river will be altered forever. Have a good night. I'm going to see you later. And with that, Halo like bends at the waist as she backs out of the room and leaves. Rev, I think, finally. She like drops like her pack like onto the ground. She like shrugs her shoulders and like the raven feather cape like ripples and disappears into nothingness. And like her entire form's actually gonna ripple so she gets into like more comfortable clothes. Like instead of armor, it's just like a tunic and trousers that go up to her waist, and like a slightly unbuttoned tunic that shows off some muscular cleavage, let's say. And she's gonna like carefully sidle into like the bed next to V and like kick her shoes off and kick her feet up onto like a footrest. This is nice. Really hard though, V. Are you okay?
At this point, V's like sat up a little bit to like take off the shoulder pads and like take off the little chunks of armor on her to be more relaxed and take off her boots. Yeah, I'm just it knocked the wind out of me a little bit, but I'm fine.
There's a bruise forming on your back. Hold on, let me. And like Rev starts to like tend to the bruise, like puts her hands over it. You feel like this like healing magic start to course over your spine.
That feels so much better. Thank
Dewey
you so much.
turns to Manaya and is like, you want to see if where the other beds are around here?
What's wrong, Cardew? Uncomfortable with a little bit of PDA? Aren't you a dad?
And you know what? Don't finish that sentence. And Dewey's gonna walk into like through the nearest doorway.
Okay. Yeah, Dewey, you walk through like an open archway into like a conjoined room right on the other side. And there's like these beautiful like dark mahogany wood like burnished like lattices, right? These beautiful scrolls of like these like watercolor paintings, these like scrolls with calligraphy like hung over these like vases like painted with like blue and white ceramic. Like this place is nice. It's real nice. You walk under the archway and enter the other room. Manaya?
Ugh, cough drop. I think Manaya follows Dewey, a sort of like her own leaf cape in her hands, like, wonder if I could make it disappear like that. But like, not even paying attention to where she's going, just following the nearest person who's walking.
Okay, yeah. Manaya and Dewey, the two of you enter like a room that's basically like symmetrical to the room you just left. The beds are sort of like against the same. They share a wall. There's like 2 beds in this entire complex, so you have to share a bed. But the beds are really big. They're nice and big and comfy. So it's like they're California king size, basically. Enter. I assume you've got stuff packs maybe that you're starting to like drop down, like settle in, etc. While this is happening, all 4 of you hear a polite but insistent knock, 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 knock at the door that Halo just exited from. And without waiting for a response, the door slides open. And in walks a halfling woman. And she is surrounded by several servants, like a retinue, it seems, maybe like 5 or 6 ladies in waiting. She's got this like short black hair cut in this like asymmetrical bob, but like the back of it is like twined up in the noble, like too long in style, and done with like a little like butterfly pin at the very top. And she's draped in these like dark colored robes with like silver thread shot through it. And she's got her like hands clasped in front of her chest, fingers intertwined and sparkling with these like gems inset in her rings. And she smiles at Rev and V, who are on the bed. And she also like inclines her head a little, so she addresses the entire complex and not just the room that Rev and V are in. Hello, good afternoon. I hope I'm not intruding. I just thought I'd make an introduction.
Hello. Yes, come on in. This V like looks back at Rev like first off, that healing stuff was really nice, but there's also like a who is this type of look back to Rev?
Yeah, Rev sits up a little and like swings her legs over the side of the bed, and she like shrugs her shoulders and like the feather cape comes back on, magic ripples down her front, her armor comes back on, and at this the halfling woman goes, oh my, what a strong display of magic. Very impressive, though I would not expect anything less from the 4 mercenaries that walked away from the throne room unscathed.
You should fear us. We're pretty powerful.
Oh, and you're blessed with a sense of humor as well. And you're noticing she's talking in common, not Tew. Like she's assumed that you're not fluent in Tew or that you're not from Tew Long already. Like from the moment that she stepped in. Dewey, Manaya, you're in the other room. Do you poke your heads into this room?
I think maybe Manaya's still in the doorway, and at somebody walking in, she still has her cape in her hands, and she like whips around and like swiftly puts it behind her. And then she sort of watches the conversation go back and forth, and she says, "Yes, we try our best to have some fun around here when we can. Did you need anything?"
Oh, I just wanted to introduce myself here and, more importantly, get the 4 of you introduced to me. There have been some very interesting rumors in the past 30 minutes. Of 3 rugged mercenaries escorting a shirtless Prince Yen who has not been seen in over 7 years, exiled for treason for the slaying of a divine beast, escort the prince into the throne room, but oh, what is so interesting and perplexing? Rumors abound that 4 different-looking mercenaries came out, the 4 of you. A tall, drow woman with pale skin, an even paler-skinned elf woman with dark green scales around her face, a pigeon, and a tall half-orc woman. Now, where is the pigeon? Pigeon, coo-coo-coo.
The pigeon has a name, okay? The pigeon. We just get really upset by this condescendingness.
My apologies.
Dewey peeks out from behind Manaya with a look of incredulity. Who are you?
The rumors go on to say, this woman says, ignoring your questions about who she is, that, interestingly enough, she starts to pace as she flicks out a fan from nowhere and starts fanning herself, Rumors abound that Prince Moa Hien was seen in 2 different places. Isn't that interesting? Dressed and behaving differently. Now what's going on with that, And can these new 4 people who have emerged from this throne room not 30 minutes ago enlighten me?
Manaya strides forward, confident, her hand moving towards her axe, but subtly, and she says, shit, what is English? I would implore you to remember that we live in a world of magic, dwindling as it is, and that many things are possible, many things can be seen which are not real, many things can happen which may be incredulous. Did I use that right? Manaya looks back at Dewey.
Gives her a thumbs up.
And that what you hear and what you see may not be what is going on. Manaya's close now.
Oh my, why, you are tall. Oh, almost as tall as the second wife, but not quite. And she snaps her fan shut. And she points it at your midriff, because she's a halfling, and that's the highest point she can reach on your body, Manaya. Are you threatening me?
No. Are you?
I'm simply seeking information, my dear. As she snaps the fan back open. And I think it would be in the 4 of your best interests to remember the tone and the words you choose when you're navigating the walls of the Slumbering Palace.
My apologies, still don't have any idea who you are, but if you want some enlightenment, I do charge by every 15 minutes, about 500 gold pieces for enlightenment. I can enlighten quite a bit. I deal in information, and just to give you a little morsel, I live in a world where I've seen 2 things happen. I disintegrate God person, and they're not disintegrated. 2 things can exist at once. It's almost a strange world we live in now.
She squints at you for a really, hard and long duration as you speak, V. And then something clicks in her eyes. Ah, I know you. High elf. Blondish white hair. That's right. But more than that, a liar's countenance. You tried to rob the Royal Library a number of decades ago, didn't you? V. Noksherzo?
You what?
Okay, wow, yes, you're good. You're real good. I will hand it to you. You're very good. You have a very good memory. But that was decades ago. I didn't even get the book to begin with.
Well, rumors say you made it to the depths of the Forbidden Stacks. I wonder what you traded to get what you wanted. Or if you even got it at all now that you're back here.
If I could remember what I traded, I'd tell you. But unfortunately, that's not how it works.
So you have forgotten. How fascinating. Well, will you look at the time? And one of her ladies-in-waiting dings a bell. Thank you so much. I do have to be going. As for my name, I shall gladly share it. The fact that none of you know who I am does not bode well for your stay here. Everyone in the Slumbering Palace knows the name of the 8th wife. Consort Leoby Shi. At your service. We'll meet again, darlings. Mwah. And the halfling woman turns, and she strides to leave.
Dewey's got like a sheet of parchment. He's like, "Wait, what characters are the?"
And she's
like,
gone.
she's already out the door.
She's out. And on that, we're gonna cut back to Arden and Oka. I think a decent amount of time has passed as the two of you are just holding each other and crying, right? And like having this like really tender, intimate moment as like mother and child coming back after 7 years of absence. And at this point, Arden has compelled herself a little bit more, composed herself a little bit more, gotten herself together, has like dried the tears on her face. Is now looking down at you, Oka. Oka, have you gotten the chance to see Yaya or Lianga or Toya yet?
No, I came straight here. Lianga and Toya. They came to that. Do you remember Convergence when we used to go to the fireworks festival?
Yeah, I do remember. I lost. You see this? And Arden gestures toward like a strand of white hair. I got that after learning that your sisters went to Convergence, escaped from the Slumbering Palace, took your mother-father's sword with them. I don't know how Yaya got her hands on that thing. I
know. They gave it to me and told me that something was wrong, and they kind of like scoot in closer. I brought the sword back. It's where it belongs now. But that's not all I'm here for. Ma, what is happening? What's going on? What aren't you telling me?
And at that, your mother sways a little in the wheelchair. In a way that you haven't seen her sway before. She's always had, like, chronic pain, but this is different. And she touches the side of her temple. And she, like, holds out a hand to stabilize herself. And, yes, Oka, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oka, as she does, Oka's hand is going to kind of come up and, like mirror hers. And I would like to use my Grim Psychometry, which means that I have advantage on intelligence history checks and a knack for recalling the dark past of objects I'm touching or places I'm in. It's not technically people, but I'd like to try it.
Okay, make an intelligence check with advantage, my good friend.
God, it is so hard to roll dice. Okay, yes, baby. A natural 20.
Wow, that's really good. Okay, you touch the side of your mother's temple and you feel the blood pumping through her system, right? You maybe even close your eyes and you focus and you hear the gagoof, gagoof of her heart, right? You can like feel the blood flowing through her veins, through her arteries, right? Infusing her muscles, right? Like winding their way through her joints. And you realize what's wrong with her. And you realize why you also cannot fix it. Your mother is dying, and you can feel her heart almost like with this like strange palpitation. She's dying of a broken heart.
Like literally?
No, her heart is not literally broken. But it's grief. 7 years of grief run through her veins. The grief of losing you in such a terrible and traumatic way. And you get the sense that the only reason she's kept going after your absence is for your sister's sake. She sort of like reels on this chair and holds the side of your wrist for stability as you touch your temple.
And Oka's eyes kind of flutter open, and there's this look of like confusion that comes over their face, like they can't really fathom what that is because they've never felt that in any person before. And like they've like helped like they helped their mother give birth to their sisters, you know, like they understand death, they understand blood like intricately. and they kind of like waver.
I think you feel the grief like coursing through you. Like there's like almost like a moment of like blood magic empathy, I guess, as like your heartbeats like synchronize and you feel this like huge crashing, like momentous, like how is she even like up and about, right? Just like coursing through you in like these waves of pain, just gushing through your heart, right? And it literally feels like your heart is breaking, right? That's what it feels like when your heart gets broken. Like it's physical, even though a lot of it's psychological, but it is also physical, right? So I think you feel that pain and you share it for a few brief moments.
Yeah, I think so, because not only do I share hers, but I feel my own absence from this place, like from her, from my sisters, this like emptiness that kind of has like been growing and like gnawing, like claws on the inside of their body, like digging and digging and digging. Mom.
I'm okay, Makoya. I'm okay. The royal physicians have been taking good care of me.
Apparently not enough. Why haven't you asked? And they can't really say the words, but the implication is the Emperor.
Your mother, father has tried, but it's not anything they can fix. Lianga, she had a very silly diagnosis for me. It must be some new sort of illness or disease. Leave it to me to get it.
What did she say?
And your mother just like shakes her head and her face sort of pinches. And you see like the tendons on her neck sort of tighten a little bit, and she does not respond.
And Oka kind of brings their hand back up to her cheek. Ma, look. And they kind of like pick up her hand and put it over theirs, which is touching her face. I'm right here. I'm real. I'm not going anywhere. Okay.
Your mother holds your gaze for one quavering moment, her eyes brimming with tears. And then she weeps. She breaks down weeping. Up until this point, she'd been crying, but gently and in a composed way. But now she's just sobbing. And she lets you hold her as she's crying, and she's trying to, like, in between gasps of her own breath, she's, like, trying to say, like, I'm okay, like, this isn't right. It's not right for a mother to cry in front of her child. All that, but she's, like, crying, and she can't help it.
I missed you so much. Every day I fought for you. I'm home. I promise. I'm here. I'm home.
And eventually, with you holding her, like, your mom's weeping dies down, and she pulls out, like, a handkerchief and wipes at her face. How unladylike of me. Though, we've never quite fit in here. Still, this is quite undignified.
Please don't. You are the most beautiful, noble person I've ever met. This palace does not deserve you, and it never has.
Oh, shush. Pay. Don't say such things. Don't invite that sort of thing in here. And she tucks the handkerchief away and shakes her head very quickly and says, Your sister, Yaya, Sambaya, she has tomorrow night, she has a sword demonstration. Toya has been putting it together, and it's the only thing that will drag Lianga out of the Royal Library these days, because the Imperial exams are coming up at the end of Raven. You should come. You should come see your sisters. You should if you're going to be staying for any amount of time, you should come. But if you're not, Mokoya, if you're just going to be leaving, then you shouldn't come.
I'm not leaving. Ma, there's something going on. Something bad.
Your mother interrupts you. She holds up a finger. Speak not of it to me, Mokoya. You know you shouldn't.
Does she know?
Roll insight.
I'll use a point of inspiration.
You do not have one. Would you like to use collective?
Yes. I rolled a 4 and a 5. Okay. That sucks. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12.
Wow. What the fuck?
High intelligence, baby. I'm a smart bitch.
Insight is wisdom.
I'm also a wise bitch.
Okay.
I think actually an 11 then.
Okay, cool. With an 11, your mother knows that you shouldn't tell her this. You get the sense that she knows something is afoot, but she might not know the details. What she does know, though, is that the more people you tell of it, the greater danger you are in. And you get the sense she also knows the Emperor is involved, and that she is not gonna risk the Emperor's life or your life, or the lives of your sisters.
Okay. I won't. But know that I'm taking care of it. Okay?
Ever the responsible eldest sibling. And after it's taken care of, Mokoya?
The palace is not the only place that's broken, Ma. Everywhere else is too, but I can always come back. If I don't leave, then we'll have nothing. The whole world is gonna crumble into nothing. I'm gonna keep all of you safe. I will. I will.
You can't do that alone, Mokoya.
I'm not alone. Strangely enough, I'm not.
Will you sleep in your room tonight?
Would you like me to? What if Yaya or Toya, I don't.
No, you're right. The first time you see your sisters again should be in a good place. A correct place. Not like this. Go then. Take care of what you must take care of. And I shall see you tomorrow night.
Can I stay for just a little bit longer?
Of course. And on that, we're gonna pull away from this, like, framed silhouette of Oka and their mother, Arden, in the shade of this persimmon tree. And I think time passes. We see, like, a time lapse of the sky, right? This, like, early afternoon sunless light slowly dimming and browning, turning toward this, like, darkened gray as evening starts to take over. And the various little fairy lights and orbs and glowing motes of magic within the Slumbering Palace begin to light up, casting this, like, dim, pleasant, ambient light throughout the entire palace. We see We smell autumn flowers, night flowers blooming, their pollen dispersing through the chilly fall air. We hear the gurgling of streams cutting through the various courtyards and interconnected buildings and complexes of the palace. We see officials sitting outside admiring the starless dark from the safety of the palace, talking about poetry and literature to each other. And we see Nova women in tea parlors, drinking hot cups of green and oolong and white tea, and scheming a way to plot their way upward the imperial ladder. And now finally, we go back to the guest courtyard, where we left Manaya, Dewey, V, and Rev. So how do the four of you tell me what you're up to before your old party member rejoins you?
V, ever since that interaction, has actually been a bit more internal and almost angry about something, and is probably giving everybody, including Rev, a little bit of the cold shoulder. And she's probably left the quarters for a little bit of time, kind of like retracing her steps from so many decades ago to like find where the great library is, and just looking at it for a while, something is ticking in her head, and then she eventually like walks back to the guest quarters before it gets like too late or whatever. But she's thinking about something.
I think on your way back from the Great Library, right? Like you left on your own, you made it very clear you wanted to be alone. A couple of blocks away from the guest courtyard, the shadows ripple, like the shadow underneath like a mahogany tree ripples, and stepping out of the darkness, previously completely invisible, is Rev. Hey.
Oh, hello. Hi.
I know you wanted to be left alone, but I just wanted to check in. Vasanti, what's wrong? I mean, that halfling woman, she was lying, right? Maybe she mistook you for someone else. And even if she wasn't, what's the big deal about a place full of books?
Not lying. Definitely have been here before. Tried to steal something from the Great Library.
Classic V.
Classic.
But you're not usually this hung up on places you've stolen from. What's wrong?
Well, it's a couple of things, really. I used to live here for quite some time. Not here in the palace, but here in Delco. And she talked about I had to give up a memory. And I've always had this strange fog about my time in this place. I remember the last day of my mother's life as if it just happened yesterday, but this place has always been somewhat of a cloud over me. And I'm just wondering, I encountered in the vault this entity who, in order to get past, and like V's like just recalling that entire event of like, there's like this moment of like, I had to give up a memory, but I can't remember what it was. It's just nothing. And I'm just curious.
Yeah. Seems like this certainly was not the first and last time you've had to give up a memory. I'm sure we'll be able to find it. I think that'll help, right? I mean, what are the chances it's a memory of you kissing someone else?
Yeah, I mean, you think I'd remember that, right?
Yeah.
That's silly. Of course I'd remember. And then V remembers what Rip is talking about, and she like her elf
From like
skin
Arc
starts
2.
to blush. Yes, there's no way that could happen to the same person twice in their lifetime, right?
No, that would be ridiculous. Yeah, no, there's no way.
Yeah. You know what the worst thing about that score was? There was the book I was searching wasn't even there. It was checked out by. It was checked out by.
By who?
A doctor.
Doctor who?
Not who, more like
Dr.
Aluso!
Aluso?
It was the
What?
doctor. He
What?
took that book.
What are you talking about?
Oh, I should have searched this place for this book. I forgot about it. V is like getting worked up about it.
This
I
is
could have
just
made a
coming back to
fortune.
you.
What? Wait, sorry, what?
This is just coming back to you.
I mean, come on. I've lived a while. I've experienced some things. I'm sorry I wasn't thinking about this place. I told you my memory around this place is a little fuzzy. It's a little
Well,
strange here.
We still have the scrying bowl for Dr. Aluso, right? Maybe tonight, before we sleep, we can talk to them, or tomorrow or something, and if they took the book, maybe they'll know how to get your memories back. Because if they got down there, that must mean that they had to give something up too, right? And knowing them, they were probably able to remember it.
Right. Yeah. Yes. If anyone, I mean, he either knew how to get past that situation without giving up memory, or he would know. Yes. This is good. Yes. This is why I love you. You're so helpful.
Well, I love you too. And hey, I can tell this is weighing really heavily on you, and I'll do whatever I can to help you remember what you lost. Okay? I swear it.
I very much appreciate that about you. Yes, you've made me feel so much better. Let's go back to the quarters.
Yeah, I hope Manaya and Dewey aren't burning the place down.
You know, it's always the Aarakocra pigeon men. They always burn something down.
We cut to Dewey in the quarters. What are you up to?
So Dewey, this is what you call a bomb? No, I'm kidding.
Dewey's like trying to light a candle or something. Failing. No, I think he's just been like getting his stuff back from I assume Manai was carrying his stuff that he couldn't have on his person. So they're like unpacking, I think. So
Hey Dewey.
what's up?
We're both from Uhanahi. But yet there's still so much I don't know. I know you shouldn't talk about everything you did at the URL. But I've always been fascinated by the machinations you all dream up. I once met a machination, it seemed completely made out of porcelain. I always thought it was the most fragile thing in the world, but yet he was able to do all of the things that all of the other robots and things that were made there could do. Do you think maybe you could teach me a little bit of your, I don't know, engineering trade?
Sure. What do you want to try and make?
Okay, so that the ring, the metal ring that has the rope. How do you do that? And I saw you crawl up into it. How does that work?
I picked that up.
Manaya like drops what she's doing. There's like a suitcase half full of stuff that just kind of falls out, and her eyes are wide, and she like sits next to Dewey.
I think Dewey's like, oh yeah, like he's got it open and he's like popping in and out of it and in and out of it as he's explaining, like, oh yeah, like, you know, sometimes I had to like get away from you know, prying supervisor's eyes for a quick moment. So, you know, it was and he's like, oh, like this is you know, you just gotta find like a ring, maybe a little bit bigger, so it'll fit you, and like going over the mechanics of that.
And Manaya is like nodding along and is very focused, but everything is going in one ear, out the other, right over her head. Like she's not understanding any of it. And I think after a few minutes of this, she says, I'm definitely not going to be an engineer.
And I'm not going to be a sailor anytime soon, so it's a good thing we have each other to do those things.
Well, that's one thing off the list, I suppose. And Manaya, like, turns back and starts unpacking a little bit slowly.
I think upon the scene of like Dewey maybe like poking his head in and out of the hoop a little bit more before putting it away, the partition slides open and Rev and V come in, and Rev's in the middle of saying, "Hope they're not doing anything weird." Upon like Dewey holding the ring, like Manaya going through all these strewn clothes and items on the ground.
Well, will you look at that?
Where are the two of you been?
We were doing sex stuff, okay? And Rev leans down to V and whispers, "So they won't ask."
Dewey puts the entire ring over his head and walks back to the other room.
V cast message. That worked better than anything I would have ever said.
I think maybe it's at this point that Oka finally rejoins the party.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fucking storm cloud walks in, because it like the door like slides, and like the darkness outside, you know, kind of like peels, and Oka comes in, just like super mechanical, almost like empty-eyed, like but their eyes are like so puffy. They're still at 1 HP. You know, they just look fucked up, and they just turn around, slide the door closed. And like I think the whole like the lightness of the conversation just plummets. And they kind of just like put their back against the door and their head kind of like taps against it.
Hi, Oka.
Hey, you want to sit down?
I think I'm gonna take a bath. And they kind of push off the wall, and shuffle around the room. And I think they pause in the bathroom door, and they look behind them. How did... They're like looking at each of them, like the question of like, how the fuck did you all get in here, actually? Like it's finally dawning on them for the first time. Never mind. We'll do a crash course. We'll do a crash course tomorrow. There's a lot of moving pieces. And they like step into the bathroom and the door like slides shut.
Rev turns to the rest of the party and says, "Should we tell them that one of the consorts came and visited us? Or should we hold on to that until tomorrow?"
I think they've had a rough enough day and they probably don't need any more stress for tonight.
Okay.
Though, something that might help. Dewey and Rev, did I see you with healing magic as well? They got pretty battered earlier, so...
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, I got it.
No, I got it.
You and V seem like you're pretty occupied.
Well, you know, yeah, you've been traveling with her longer, and yet I know her better. Funny how that happens when you don't care to ask about people's pasts. I got it.
Seems like you've been pretty busy getting to know about V's past. Maybe not so much time with Oka.
Which is why I'm getting it.
All right.
Rev bristles past Dewey. I think she like intentionally uses her feather cape to slap you in the face as she passes. Like raven feathers ruffle against your blue pigeon-like feathers. She strides over to where the bath is, where Oka is, and knocks on the frame. "Oka, it's me."
Come in.
Rev enters. I assume you're in like a tub. Are you doing the thing where like your limbs are sticking out, but like there's like tasteful steam rising so we can't see like your nethers?
Absolutely. Very tasteful steam. Except Oka looks like a fucking wet, sad ragdoll, and it's like the tasteful steam, but they look awful. Like truly wretched.
You look like shit.
Thank you, Rev. You look like shit too.
You know, you look worse than the first time I looked in a mirror after I came back. And that's saying something.
Yeah, well, I died today.
Join the club. And Rev sits down next to the tub, and starts pulling out like herbs and stuff, like from her pouch to like populate the water with to help like expedite the healing process.
I feel like Oka just kind of like the like sit up so she can get at like the like whatever fucked up shit is going on like with their back and like at their chest, which is of course the site of so much bullshit, you know, the like black and gold veins just kind of like traveling like up and around.
You know, I find that when you die and when you come back, your perspective on the world tends to change. When I first came back, I only cared about one thing: killing the myriad. Now now that the Raven Queen is here, and she like touches her chest, my priorities have shifted.
What have they shifted to?
I care about other things now. Vasanti, the other paragons, saving Andake. I'm not just a revenant anymore, I suppose, driven by vengeance. I have a higher purpose. We all do.
I suppose that's the difference between us, Rev. I've always tried. I always try. This whole time, I'm just trying to... You know, the first time I died, the same moment that I killed a holy beast at Celian in the Silent Grove, one of Mungshan Shirdi's most powerful emissaries, God amongst mortals. It had attacked me and my sisters when we snuck out of the palace. And it tried to kill them. So I laid down everything. But the Raven Queen wouldn't take me then. She didn't take me now. And they kind of like finally, for the first time, like look up at her sideways. I get the feeling that no god is ever gonna want me. Not Mungshan Shirdi. Not the Raven Queen. Not Vanash. Not Sen.
Have you heard of divine embodiment theory? Something all priestesses of the Raven Queen have to learn about.
Have I?
Roll Arcana, because I know you may not have paid attention in class when this was discussed.
Only a 12.
Has something to do with the ontology of gods.
Sure, the ontology of gods.
Right. Basically, it's the question, chicken or egg question. What came first, the goddess of birth and death, or birth and death? What came first, war, or the god of war? What came first, the ability for things to change, or the goddess of change, etc.? This idea of, do we worship to the gods, or do we make them possible? It's a topic of much debate and much scholarship amongst all holy and learned folk across Andake. I was never a very good priestess. I trained in the sword, more so than anything else.
You and me both.
But that discussion always stuck with me. And I took something from it. I decided, doesn't fucking matter. I died. I came back. That's sacrilege, according to the court. And yet I'm the Raven Queen's paragon. You died twice. You came back twice. You're Sen's paragon. Maybe we shouldn't question if the gods care about us, if they want us, if they like us, if they love us, if they hate us. Maybe we should only really care about Andake and the people that live here and the people that need us. What else matters?
And Oka stares at Rev for like a really long time. And then they look back at the water. Huh. You know, I really didn't think you would give good pep talks, but
I'm surprisingly good at them, I think. You know, when I came back the first time, well, actually, when I became a Paragon for this first time and I went back to Blackspire, there was someone there that I gave a pep talk to, too.
yeah, I'm sure everyone in Blackspire needed a pep talk after that.
She was really fucked up, though. I think, well, I wouldn't go so far to say it's more fucked up than you, Oka, but just rest assured, you're not the only person with problems, and you're not the most fucked up person in Andake, though sometimes you might feel like it.
Really? I feel like I should have that title, actually. Is this a challenge?
Well, keep gunning for it, champ. And Rev, thumps you on the back.
Oka's down to 0 hit points, and they die. Just kidding. They cough. Rev, I want to introduce you to my mom. I want you to look at her. There's something wrong.
Yeah. I'll take a look. And I'll be honest.
Good. I feel like I can trust that. Now get out.
Okay, chew on this. And Rev takes out some really bitter herbs. You can smell the bitterness from here and shoves them in your face. Come on. You don't want your blood to clot. Here, you have to
My
chew.
blood's not gonna clot. I can do that myself.
That is not a good thing. And Rev keeps shoving the herbs in your face.
Okay, eventually takes them and then kind of and chews on them angrily.
Okay, like a little angry elk. You chew on the herbs. And Rev backs out of the bath. And I think that's how the rest of the cadence of the night goes. Oka recovers in the bath. Rev has, speaks with V and shoots Dewey. Rather dirty looks over her shoulder every now and then as the tension, I think, between the two of you grow. And eventually the 5 of you get settled in for sleep. And before we cut to a break, I'd like to describe the dream you all have. That night, you have a nightmare. It's a familiar one. You stand in the middle of a bloodied, blasted battlefield. The sky is a terror of sundered light, crimson stars, and eyes. So many eyes bleeding black and red tears onto the ground that form into monsters. Your soldiers, your allies, your friends are dead or dying. It's just the 8 of you left. You look to your side, and you see 7 other shadows, 7 other paragons, suspended in this singular moment of reckoning. But something's different. 5 of them shimmer like crystals, closer than they've ever been before. And you, too, your body is shimmering. You look up, and you see the 2 remaining shadows, their forms flickering in and out of existence, so close and yet so far, but you can't move. You're stuck in this crystallized moment of time. But it is the paragon of Mengshen Zhidi who is able to step forward, her body cut like a diamond, who's able to parse this dream, raising her hand through the red, time-warped mist of this nightmare. She reaches out toward one of the shadows on this shattered battlefield, and for just a second their edges pull into sharper relief, and all of you smell lightning. You smell blood. You smell the booming thunder of mountains, and you see an old woman's face, and then gasping, the 6 of you wake. And we focus now on 5 of the 6. Oka, Manaya, Dewey, V, and Rev. As you heave to consciousness in the guest rooms of the Slumbering Palace, we're gonna cut to break. And with that, we'll be back in 10 minutes. We love you all so much. That was the big lore drop before hitting 200. I hope it was worth it. I hope there's many theories in chat. Love you all so much. We'll be back in 10. It's currently 4:21, so we'll be back by 4:31. Enjoy the fan art reel that I still have to update, and enjoy the crude music. Shpeesh! Hello, 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 everybody. It is so good to see all of your digital non-existent faces in the chat again. Thank you for your patience on our way back. Let's just hop right back into the session. We have some content warnings as a reminder for Transplanar RPG, as a campaign in general, and for this episode in particular. We are set in a grimdark, gritty fantasy world that deals with some difficult topics that are potentially triggering to some viewers. So beware of these content warnings. Nightmares, death, fantasy violence, horror, gore, toxic and abusive relationships, guns, natural disasters, alcohol and substance use, addiction, memory loss, emotional trauma and baggage, self-destructive behavior, bloodletting, cult and cult-like behavior, and anxiety and panic attacks described in detail. Use !CW in chat to get a full list of these content warnings at any time, or !safety to view a list of our cast's lines and veils so you know what subjects we definitely won't be crossing the threshold into. So with that out of the way, let's cut right back into the session with Oka, Manaya, Dewey, V, and Rev. The five of you gasp awake, the threads of this crimson, rippling nightmare dribbling off of the edges of your consciousness like fingers of gossamer, refusing to leave your soul. And as you gasp awake and look around on your hard beds, and everything about your journey starts trickling back down into you, what do the five of you do?
Oka immediately sits up in bed really fast and rolls over. I assume that they're sharing the room with Rev and V, and they kind of just throw the covers off themselves. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that?
Yeah. Oka, it's early. Yes, I saw it. I saw it.
I think actually scrambles out of bed and goes over to and hovers over them in the bed. Did you see that? Did you see the person? The old woman. Did you see her?
Yep.
Question.
Go ahead, Erica.
Question. Would I have recognized?
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna ask for a roll. I need you to make me a straight intelligence check. Or a gay one.
A gay intelligence check.
What did you get?
Nat 20, baby.
Oh my god, yeah. You see just that image of a face that's starting to disappear, this memory starting to dissipate, right? Like sugar in water, but then you're able to match it. A flash of a room in Rosso. You fell through the ceiling. A flash of this memory. You appeared in this room. You saw an old woman sitting on the bed. You handed her a vial of your own blood that Sievert had extracted from you, and then you had dimension doored out of there, I think. You remember, it's the exact same face. It was that woman that you had a weird brief encounter with in Rosso.
I know who that. I don't know who that was, but I've met that person before.
What the fuck do you mean? And Oka grabs V's for and pulls her up. What the fuck do you mean? Where?
In Rosso. I was fighting Sievert. He had my blood. I stole it from him.
Oka drops V back down and goes over to their stuff.
V falls on the hard bed again.
They throw open their journal and they start scribbling something down as fast as they can. Where in Rosso?
We were in a hotel. We went to his room. I dimension doored down a room.
You went to a hotel room with your ex?
Not important.
If you knew this ex, I burned down his bed. I burned down
Sievert,
his suite.
The man I promised to help you kill. Yes.
Wait, you what?
I tried real hard that day. Let me tell you, I didn't mean to burn down his room. It just was collateral damage. But I gave this vial of blood to her, and then I left. She was right there. Do you think she still has a room there? Do you?
Yes, Manaya.
Trails off.
Looking in from the next room. By the depths of the flames of Mahu, what are you yelling about?
The woman, Manaya, the woman in the dream.
Yeah, it
Yuda
happens
Bafi's
every.
paragon. We saw her. Didn't you see?
Oh. Oh.
We're in the Slumbering Palace. There's 6 paragons in the same space. It's and she helped us.
You said Rosso?
Yeah, it was, we I yes, I don't know anything about her other than I gave her a vial of my blood.
Okay, you have the strongest ties to Kane. We need a letter there as soon as we can. We can't leave here, but if she's still there, we need to know where. And if she isn't, we need to know when she left and where she's going.
I'll see what I can do. A vial of your blood, V?
Yeah, Sievert wanted something about my dad, one of those dragon cults, whatever those. It's just,
What?
I-
V, this is new information for us.
It is, isn't it? Yes, you're right. I haven't told you this. Yeah, apparently Sievert may or may not be working with my father, who may or may not be a dragon, and he may or may not have tried to take blood from me to, I don't know what.
To what? To what? Why do they need your blood?
There's a lot you can do with blood.
They specifically had to be my blood.
And you just gave it to some random woman?
It was more trustworthy in her hands than mine. You know what I would do with my blood if I had it?
It was destiny. Destiny brought the two of you together, and destiny made the two of you part. Yes, Manaya's right. Oka, get a letter to Kane as soon as you can. Wow.
Your blood, V. What do you think are the chances that she still has it?
I mean, do they have an expiration date? I don't know.
Give me a dagger. And Oka is looking at V
doing this
kind of intensely.
8 a.m.
He's like climbing to the back of the bed against
And
the
Oka's
wall.
like crossing the bed, like over the top, like steps over Rev, Somebody hand me a dagger. So they're just locked on me, like just like
Oka,
somebody
please
hand it to me.
dimension doors to the other side of the room. Oka, let's not get carried away here. This is come on.
Rev teleports next to you and tackles you onto the bed again, V, and like pins you down. Oka, now!
Rev, what? What is this? What?
Manaya goes, oi, and tosses a dagger handle first.
Manaya, that's you.
Oka catches it, and just the teeniest little pinprick on V's like palm.
I thought I could trust you. Ow!
V, please. V, I died yesterday. Could you like?
That really hurt.
Dewey takes V's hand. Is like there. It's like healing. It's
You take 2 points of damage, V. 2 points. And I love to misuse my Blood Hunter features. I have sacrificial tracking, which means when I finish a long rest, I can lose an equal amount of HP, I would say, to choose up to 3 new creatures to gain advantages against when using my Hunter's Bane. What I'm actually trying to do is use my brand of castigation, which is to know where something is, and to track V's blood in Andake.
Oh my god. Okay. You know what? That's going to be at least a roll. So why don't you roll an intelligence investigation check with advantage? We also do have the auto crit on the board.
I rolled an 18, or an 18 total.
Okay. To find V's blood in Andake? All right. So what does it look like as you're setting up this ritual and V is whimpering, pinned underneath Rev? Dewey's tending to V's hand, and Rev's just sort of going, "It's okay, V. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be okay."
brave. I was so brave.
Such a brave girl.
Oka, like swipes the blood with their finger off of V's palm. It's like it doesn't bleed anymore afterward too. And I think a mirror image of the tiny scratch from her palm appears in their own as they and they just go to one of the walls, one of these beautiful well painted walls, and they just make a circle with both V and their blood, and then they put their hand in the middle of it and focus.
As you focus, you track V's blood across everywhere V's been. The first thread of magic that reaches out connects you to V, who's right in the room with you, right? Easy. Just bounces over to V, right? And then the next one, how do I even do this as a GM? The next thread expands from Dokao, and you sort of get an out-of-body experience, Oka, as you're pulled through the ceiling, you go through the clouds, you go above the Slumbering Palace, and now Dokao, all of it, the capital sprawled underneath you. See the tall, jagged peaks of the slumbering the silent groves, mountainous forests spreading all around you. You go above the mists of the atmosphere, and you soar through the air, and you tumble north of the silent grove, past Rosso, toward Talmud. You see the Jadidan scrublands and their baobab trees and their rugged rock flip past you. You fly past the heavenly road with their clusters of refugees and travelers and mercenaries and merchants trawling this paved path, and your vision takes you all the way to the three-headed city of Dabathati. And you fly through the district of Suraksha, the district of protection, and you land in a market square where the hunched shoulders of a woman are standing there, and she's currently arguing with a fishmonger over the price of a fish, and then she turns at the last moment, and you zoom in on her eye, and you are pulled out of this vision.
I go, "Hey, you!"
And then you're pulled out. You don't know if your voice reached her, but she still has possession of V's blood, and she's in Dabathati.
Oka stumbles back. That was weird.
Which part
really
was
weird.
weird? Where you attack your friend and take her blood against her will, or?
Did you find her?
Yeah. She's in Dabathati. She still has your blood for some reason.
What's she doing in Dabathati?
Arguing with a fishmonger.
Probably looking for something we already took.
Rev sighs and looks at your chest, Oka.
V also
Oka also-
looks at
yeah.
Oka's chest.
Oka also looks at Oka's chest.
Are we all looking at Oka's chest? Are we all
Yeah.
that kind of person? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're all staring at Oka's chest. After a beat of silence, I think Rev says, "She's in Dabathati, that's far away from here. We have an assassination plot to thwart. Oka, you have to go and meet her when this is all said and done. You have to return Vinash. You have to give him to her."
Oka nods sort of hesitantly. Right.
Can you do that again? Once this is all over, she may have moved.
Oka looks at V. You do it a little easier next time.
Well, I never knew my blood was so precious, but I guess fine, whatever you all need. I'll do it for free even. I won't charge you extra for V blood, which is apparently extremely valuable, 1,000 gold pieces, but whatever.
Visanti, if you do it, I'll... and Rev leans in and whispers something that I cannot repeat on stream into your
Oh
ear.
my god.
V
Also,
is-
Oka is like, Visanti.
Shh, no. This is one of my many names, like Wendy and Veronica and Vicky.
Is that the one you want to use for the kingdom?
No, you all call me V. Only she gets to call me Vasanti. That's the rules.
Is this some weird
It's a
role
sex
play?
thing. Yeah, don't ask about it.
Yeah, it's always that. That's yep.
Can I
Dude,
roll
that's
insight?
Oh my god.
Yeah, whoever wants to roll insight can contest V's deception.
Benaya is very uncomfortable with the energy that we have created in this room.
25. 25 insight from Oka.
Only 19 deception.
You have 2 inspiration.
I'm gonna do it. Yeah, let's do it. One
Okay.
more inspiration here. 21.
So V, what does Oka get?
So based on V body language and the way everything went down, when it was asked, when was it Dewey that you were like, or no, was it Oka said Vasanti? When it was brought to attention that y'all didn't know Vasanti was V's actual name, you saw that panic of, oh shit, Rev just said my actual real name. And yeah, I mean, it's very obvious that that is V's actual real name.
Oka, as like the whole sex jokes go on and Manaya becomes uncomfortable, Oka just kind of like their eyes are already kind of freaky, but now with this like weird red dash through one of them, it's like they just kind of like peer through V's soul and nod a little and then look away.
Benaya loudly clears her throat. Anyway.
Rev tosses you a cough drop and then turns to the rest of the party. Nod says, yeah, we should get on with it. Oka, you said you were going to give us a debrief?
Before that,
Okay.
we readdressed the letter. We sent it to that god captain that we met. What was their name?
Send it to Ravi.
Right. She's still there. Out of character. She, they, or just she?
But she they for
Okay,
Robbie.
good.
Yeah.
Right, we sent it to Ravi. Hope they can track her down. But until this is all over, we can't do anything. Our hands are tied. Okay?
Okay. Dewey, write this down. And Oka, should I do the whole ass spiel?
You know what? Go for it. I think it'll be good for our audience.
Monologue
Okay.
redemption.
Lord drop redemption. Okay. First thing you all need to know. The Emperor has 8 spouses. This is a holy decree. The first 3 of those spouses are royalty. The rest are consorts. Royalty obviously have more power. They are closest in line to becoming, well, their children becoming the next emperor. See? Makes sense in this way. So we have, of course, the first wife, Queen Moa Guilin. She's a dragonborn. Her son, Prince Moa, is the firstborn, half dragonborn. Both of them, well, they hate my guts, all of them. Then there's Princess Moa, thirdborn, and Prin Moa, fourthborn. Queen Moa has a monopoly on the passage of the emperorship, except for, well, me. After Queen Moa, there's Queen Guo Ru Chong. She's a Goliath, the only person in Andake, I think, taller than Manaya. She has 2 children, 3 children, the 5th born, the 6th born, the 9th born. After her, V, actually, she's got a thing for mahjong. Maybe you can play a game or 2 with her. Third spouse, Ruler Rao Vial is a tiefling, has one child, the seventh born, Prin Rao. Then that's royalty. Note that Prin Rao and the eighth wife don't get on. Well, excuse me. Prin Rao and the sixth consort don't get on quite well because the sixth consort had twins, which meant that Ruler Rao could no longer have a second child. Just how it goes. Then there's my mother, my 3 siblings. Toya is the 8th born. Lianga is 11th. Sambaya is 16th, the very last. And I was the second born. The 5th consort Mu Piao, Fire Ganassi. Do they even have a kid? Oh, yeah, Prince Moa. He doesn't really do anything. 10th born. Highly forgettable. They spend a lot of time in the library, both of them. The 6th husband is Consort Tu Gushen. Is an elf. He's the one with the twins. Does not get on well with the 3rd spouse. And then there's the 7th, Zanping, a satyr. One of the only other consorts who was ever kind to my mother. His child must be 16 or 17 now, 12th born. And then there's the 8th wife, Consort Lu Baichi, halfling. She has one daughter, close to Sambaya in age, the 15th born. She's a bit of a rumor monger, but might know a lot. And that's it. No questions. Did you get all that, Dewey?
No.
What do you mean, no? That was, what, 16 siblings, 8 wives. It's clear.
Did you take a class in this?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, well.
I'm sorry we
So-
don't all have master degrees from whatever I have a headache now. Can someone please cast something on me to take this headache away, because that was a lot of information.
Don't
said
worry, V.
some-
It'll be the NPC references channel for us to reference later on.
All right. Hold on. Gossiping person, was that the person who was here earlier? Because they seem
Yep.
to like gossip.
Yeah, the 8th wife, she swung by while you were visiting your mom.
She came here.
Yeah, she
Before
stood right there.
She
Knew
was
it-
in here with all of you before I told you any of this. Oka looks stricken.
You sound like we're cursed now because
Oh God, we're all gonna die. Oh no.
let's be a
Okay,
little
well, she's probably
optimistic.
made up. What did you say? Did you say anything bad?
No, she knew everything about us. She knew that I'd broken in here like 50 some years ago. She knew like everything. There was
That you
nothing to
broke
hide.
in here?
Yes, okay. I broke into the Great Library. Gave up a memory. Don't even remember what the memory was. How ironic is that? And then Dr. Aluso had already taken what I was looking for.
Dr. Aluso took something from here 50 years ago?
Well,
Did they
he was
also break
renting
in?
it. Probably, maybe if actually, like, I don't know. There was a little note that said it was checked out. The book was already checked out.
I didn't know they were 50 years old. They look, I mean, they could be anywhere between like 20 and 30, I guess.
I mean, I think I look pretty good for 110, but
I guess anything's possible.
They're a learned doctor. It makes sense they would be here. They would have been here at some point.
Is it bad that the 8th wife came by? Manaya, I mean, she was being really wishy-washy. Like a fish. Real slippery.
Oh, of course, you can't say anything just right out here. She's probing for information. She's hunting all of you down like a panther.
I should have watched my tongue. In retrospect, you know I don't do the pseudo word mongering thing, well,
Yeah, Manaya
I'll
may
try
or
to-
may not have intimidated her. It was a very impressive display, Manaya, but she did not seem to like it.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
That's maybe worse somehow. It's fine. What was your story? What did you tell her? Why did you say you were here?
I don't think we really said much. I did describe how I did disintegrate the god, and that there were 2 timelines that happened, and
No,
you know,
no, we didn't say that. We didn't say any of that. Don't give Oka more of a headache than they already have, V. She asked, but we didn't say anything, and she eventually just left. I think she was just trying to probe us. And when it was clear, that we weren't going to come forward with any more information, she exited.
That might not be a bad thing. She's rather low in the pecking order, the 8th wife, 15th born. But she's always stayed ahead on gossip. She could actually help us. Depending on what we give her, she might be able to give us news of strange people coming and going who aren't just us.
Right, we'd have to get into her good graces then.
She'll trade a secret for a secret.
What secrets do we have that could possibly interest her?
I don't know, the existence of the Paragons, Dewey?
The Dream Shield's been up for quite some time. She probably doesn't know what happened in the Championship, the Court, the Republic.
If we at least act like we have secrets, which we do, she'll want anything from us. That's why she came by so fast.
She seemed to think we were mercenaries. Is that our cover story? Dewey, I know you have your own, in which you give out your real name. V, I know you've got yours. What's the play here?
Oka looks to V.
well, I mean, I think we were mercenaries. We came here. We had an Oka with us. People saw that. So let's continue that story. We brought an Oka. There was another Oka. I think it's quite possible with some of the weird stuff we saw that, there was some weird god stuff happened in the throne room. It was weird, undescribable. But we could certainly use some of that to our advantage of maybe what we saw in there, what we've been experiencing. But I think, yes, it's simpler if we continue. Well, there's also the whole, biographer thing that we were talking yesterday. I mean, now I've confused myself with all my ideas.
What about this? We are a group of researchers, biographers. Cardew could be just here to study the cataclysm, I suppose. V, you could be a biographer, so could you, Manaya, and so could I. Or we could be hired muscle to accompany V, as she's been traveling around Andake, recording interesting things that are happening, as well as Cardew. We were invited to the Slumbering Palace to speak to the Emperor, but we stumbled upon something we should not have seen. And the other mercenaries, the Tabaxi, the shirtless Oka, these mercenaries were trying to dupe the Emperor, and during the fight, they were killed.
I like where you're going with this. Yes, yes.
We witnessed it all. How about that?
Yes. And now we're here to just simply get more information for our archive and for perhaps writing about what is going on. So we perhaps, if our friend has any information for us that would be helpful, that might be good.
Not to be, not to be self-centered, but what if you were all writing my biography, The Lost Prince? It would certainly give you a chance to ask the other queens and wives what they thought of me and the Emperor, and would explain what I'm doing with all of you.
That's not a bad idea.
Yes, I like it. I like it. What about, because in our story, she was aware that there were 2 Okas. What if I just go ahead and take credit for being one of them? Dewey, I know you probably don't want people thinking it was you. That I was just trying to break in like I did, I was just getting information the only way I knew how, which is to break in. I know it wasn't the best. I know that's not the best of options. I know that now, but maybe that was just me trying to get in here to try to get information. As I went rogue.
Honestly, some of the spouses might be impressed by that. They value cunning, wisdom, knowledge, a well-played plan.
Okay. Then we are biographers turned rogues who snuck into the Slumbering Palace to learn as much as we could, but we got caught up in something bigger than ourselves, and instead of executing us, the Emperor was impressed and said we could continue carrying out our plan, but in the light of day instead of in the shadows of night.
And in the service of the kingdom, to spin it the way
Exactly.
they want.
For once, not a bad contribution, Cardew.
What do you mean? He's our ideas man.
Seems like it's the only thing he's good for.
All right, girlfriend
Rav,
V.
shh, Rav, shh. You're not helping.
Yeah.
So, how about them wives?
There's we'll study up a little bit this afternoon. There's my sister Yaya is doing a sword forms performance in my family's courtyard tonight. Doubtless other of the wives and their children will be in attendance. I think that would be a strong place to show ourselves for the first time.
You want us to meet your family?
Oka looks kind of askance. It's complicated, Dewey. I don't really know what they're going to say when I get there. They may be happier to see you than they are to see me.
Well, the sword forms showcases promises to be rather interesting to watch besides everything else we're doing.
She's anything like me at my age. Well, she'll be pretty good.
Okay then, what's the dress code?
Not that.
Rev looks down at her studded, raven feather dappled leather armor.
You slept in that?
What? You sleep in that? And she points despairingly at your cargo shorts.
Do I have to have a conversation with the 2 of you? What's going on?
So we all have to change.
Are we talking formal? Are we talking...
Not that desperately, but we should look like biographers, not dirty vagrants. Oka kind of looks at themselves when they say that, because they do look like a dirty vagrant.
Speak for yourself, Oka. But you are the person out of all of us that knows the most.
Honestly, Manaya, you look fine. You can wear that if you like.
She'll
Leave
stick out
this
for sure.
armor with a leaf cape.
Do none of us own pajamas? Do we all sleep in
Why
armor?
would I be going in pajamas, Dewey?
No, I'm just saying, all of you woke up in your armor?
No, I took it off.
It's like 8:06.
Look in the closets. We'll find something. Come on.
Also, at this moment, V walks over to Oka, slaps them on the back, and casts mending to make their clothes actually look a little bit nicer, as much as mending will allow.
You know, those slits in the back were actually for my wings.
We can cut them out later.
Thanks.
And I think on that, we're gonna do like a quick like montage as y'all like look through the armoires and the dressers of these like conjoined rooms. You find like nice robes to put on. Like we see like Oka and like Rev standing by, like shaking their head, you know, and then nodding, and then shaking their head and then nodding. It's like a Pretty Woman sequence, you know. And then finally, by nightfall, by evening, right, y'all have like decked out. You've like chosen the proper robes. You've gone over your cover story multiple times. You've reviewed the list of like spouses and their children and Oka's half siblings like over and over and over again, I'm assuming. So why don't you all, except for Oka, make a group intelligence check for me to see how much you can retain for this evening.
I hope you're taking the highest, not the lowest, because
Can I use some inspiration here?
Yes, you can.
God.
A
How's everyone else
15?
remembering?
I got a 15.
Okay, 15 from V.
intelligence, you said?
Intelligence, yes.
18.
Okay, 18 from Anaya.
How much inspiration do I have
Dewey.
left?
You have another one.
Okay, I'm going to use it.
Okay.
Nope. Okay. 14. Jeez.
Okay, that's not so bad. So y'all get most of the basics, I think. And you feel like you'd be able to pick out the consorts in a crowd based on Oka's description. You're like 80% confident you can do that, I think, based on this montage.
Not bad for one day.
For sure. Okay, are we ready? Is it time for Yaya's sword forms demonstration? Let's do it.
Yes.
Yes.
Just keeping a quick eye on the time.
Yeah, I think we'll have time. We've got like another 20 minutes or so until we go over. So I think we'll have time to like get settled in and play out a little bit, maybe end on like a cliffhanger or something like that. Okay. Oka, Manaya, Dewey, V, and Rev. The courtyard of the fourth wife sparkles with elegant decor and even more elegant attendees. Fairy lights drift through the crisp autumn air. A bard sits on a stone island in the middle of a large pond, plucking at a guzheng. Dragonflies skim the surface of the water, their iridescent bodies gliding over lily pads, lotus petals, and the dark, sleek forms of fish. Nobles wander the courtyard, draped in casual refinery, their cheeks powdered, their dark hair strung up in the latest fashions. Every now and then they stop to admire a stone statue here, a piece of topiary art there. The center of the courtyard has been fenced off and remodeled to form a closed arena, packed with sand and dirt. A series of wooden dummies stand at attention. The nobles circulate around this arena, chatting amongst themselves, waiting for the sword demonstration to begin. What's interesting about this, Oka, you'll note in particular, is that this event is a lot more opulent and a lot more decorated than regular sword form demonstrations would be. This feels more like a cocktail party than like watching your younger sister like get her green belt, basically. Like there's definitely something at work here. Something or someone more likely has elevated the status of this event to be more of a who's who instead of just watch this kid whack a few dummies with her sword. Unfortunately, this amiable mood is cut short by a raised voice. You! Cutting through the crowd like a shark smelling blood is Prince Moa. The firstborn, surrounded by his usual group of servants and lackeys. And as he cuts through the crowd, the other nobles part and bow in deference, looking around in alarm as Prince Moa stops short in front of a young half-drow woman. She has pale gray skin, long elven ears currently tapered upward in surprise. She wears an elegant blue robe, and her hair has been painstakingly pinned into an elaborate updo. Her face is sharp, angular, with perceptive blue eyes that are constantly thinking. Toya Hien quickly schools her expression into one of carefully trained deference. She curtsies in front of Prince Moa. My prince, it is an honor for you to attend my sister's sword demonstration, and an even greater honor for me to put this event together. How can I help you? I couldn't care less about this stupid show. Are you aware that your shitty older sibling did this to my face? And Prince Moa points at his nose. And whatever royal physician attended to him after Oka beat his ass yesterday did a pretty good job. But his nose is slightly off-center, and his nostrils are still ringed with dried blood. At this, Toya freezes. Then she smiles. So I heard. My deepest apologies, my prince. None of us expected Makoya to return, especially not like this. I actually haven't seen them yet. I've only heard. Do you think me a fool, Toya? Do you seriously expect me to believe that Makoya hasn't visited you yet? It's been 2 days since since the Emperor's decision. No, they haven't visited. Ha! A shitty sibling indeed. And this next part shouldn't be too difficult. Toya Hien, 8th-born, I, as the firstborn, order you to renounce Makoya Hien, 2nd-born, as your elder sibling. If you want me to attend your little parties from now on, then you will no longer regard Makoya as a member of your family. You will have no contact with them, you will not aid them, you will not shelter them, you will treat them as less than a stranger. Do you renounce them? And it's at this point, I think, that the 4 of you arrive at the party. Oka, Manaya, Dewey, V, and of course Rev. You come upon a scene of bated breath. Dozens of nobles standing in a semicircle around Prince Moa and Toya Hien, watching the exchange with eyes as wide as dinner plates. Even the Guzheng player has stopped and is like watching. What do you do?
How much of that do we hear?
Like all of it.
I think Oka was kind of like, maybe we were kind of late to this moment because Oka was like kind of fiddling outside, and like they weren't really like, they're like, maybe we could just go, you know, like we don't have to go in. Okay, no, let's go in. No, let's just wait. God, does anyone have a cigarette? But then once like this noise kind of picks up, their attention turns. Wait, come on, I think there's something wrong. And they come inside. And they're like frozen again once they kind of are in there. And then they start moving toward Prince Moa, like cutting through the crowd, like kind of quietly. Excuse me. Pardon me. As they like pushing through nobles. And when they kind of like, maybe there's like a small clearing around them, they get to the clearing. Hey, Prince Moa.
Prince Moa whips his head around, the dragonborn like crest sort of flaring at his neck, and he looks at you. You!
Why don't you pick on someone your own size?
And at this, Manaya walks up behind Oka, towering over them, arms crossed.
The muscle! Yeah! Prince Moa like looks between Oka and up at you, Manaya. What about you, Dewey and V?
V is going to walk up to the other side and just has formed like a little fireball that she's just like almost like a contact juggling ball rolling around and stuff, but just trying to act. She's being harmless but it's very much threatening by being harmless.
What about Dewey?
Dewey's standing next to the rest of the group, but on the side closest to is it Toya?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like in between Toya and Prince Moa, trying his best to be intimidating as well, but nobody notices.
Dewey. Yeah, Rev also towers, like, in solidarity with all of you, like, next to Manaya, like, looking very menacing indeed.
And I think Oka kind of like puts their hand up, like to be like hold off, my friends, and walks into the circle. I think that's kind of formed past Toya, and they give like this glance to Toya. It's like a little hesitant, and then they turn immediately to Prince Moa, and they like come up really close to him. Hey, sorry, it's been a minute. Didn't really want to have to say hi like that yesterday. Is there a problem?
You, everyone. And Prince Moa is addressing the entire crowd. Feast your eyes upon this vagrant. The prodigal son has finally returned, and you've brought nothing but violence and chaos upon the palace.
Are you speaking out against Mother Father, the Emperor's choice?
Of course not. Just like a snake like you to twist my words into something they're not.
I can think of a few other things I could twist in horrible ways. They kind of look at his body, and then they step in really close. It's funny you talk about me being here, although it was your own mother who brought me here. Because even after 7 years, she's still afraid, because she knows that I would make a better emperor than you. So she tried to have me killed secretly. Right? Or did you not know? It would be interesting if everyone here knew that, wouldn't it?
Prince Moa is frozen in rage. And like looking at his face, all of you can see he's quivering with fury. I don't think anyone else hears what you just whispered into his ear, but like his tail, his dragonborn tail is like lashing back and forth. And he starts to open his mouth, and Oka, whatever he's gonna say is gonna make your life a living hell. He's gonna issue some sort of order. He's gonna like do something to your mom. He's gonna like do something really horrible next. But interrupting him is Toya's voice that just says, I renounce them. And Prince Moa turns and looks at her. And like his rage abates with that. He looks back at you with such a smug, punchable expression on his smug, snotty, shitty little face, Oka. You talk big game, Makoya, for someone whose sibling can't even look up at you. She's losing face by you just being here. Spare everyone the humiliation and go jump off a cliff.
I'm gonna X card that. Please.
Okay.
Try a different insult.
Okay. Spare everyone the humiliation and go back to where you came from, because your home isn't here. And with that, Prince Moa turns around and triumphantly. Yes?
Really quick, I'm gonna try something. Manaya learned this from V. Or so I'm gonna say. Manaya's gonna tap her foot really softly and attempt to very subtly cast a lightning lure on Prince Moa's foot, just like across the ground, not pulling him, but just there, so that when he tries to take a step, he trips. That's it.
What level spell is that? It's a cantrip?
It's a cantrip.
As you put your hand forward to cast this spell, Manaya...
Not hand, just tap foot.
Okay, as you tap your foot to cast this spell, and the weave starts to tighten around you, you feel the strings of the weave suddenly snap, as someone counterspells you. And you notice Toya standing there. She flicks her wrist really quickly to prevent the spell from being cast, the cantrip from being cast. And like this like lightning sort of sparks off of you, like off of your foot, as Prince Moa turns in that like slowed moment and then keeps walking triumphantly out of there. Go ahead, Oka.
Darn.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Oka even like cares about him in that moment. Like they when Prince Moa turned to look at Toya, so did they, and they haven't stopped looking at her. They're just kind of like, and this expression of like shock and pain is just like super clear on their faces. They're just like looking at Toya, like speechless.
Toya looks back at you, and there's a moment where her like expression wavers before she schools it back into this like perfect mask, right? Of like she's above it all. She gives a quick smile to the gathered crowd. She says, "I apologize for all the commotion. It's such a great honor to have the firstborn visit this humble event. Please enjoy my youngest sister's sword forms." And she smiles, and without looking at you, Oka, your sister, who hasn't seen you in 7 years, turns and leaves.
Yeah, Oka just looks after her. Like it's like they're like tracking her, you know, like with their head. But as she like looks away, she walks off into the crowd, and Oka just kind of like stuck there in the middle of this like semicircle that had formed, like looking at her. And then after a moment, they kind of like peel inward and even like try to shake it off a little bit, like physically. And they look rather panicked, like they're like, and then when they look up again, it's like in the way that they're like looking for an escape route.
Dewey puts a feathered arm over Oka's shoulders and is like, you want to go back? Or
I think Oka literally jumps when they realize Dewey's even there. No. I'm fine. It's fine. Expecting that. And they swallow kind of hard. Let me, maybe, and they're like looking around in the crowd for anyone else.
Yeah. You see your mother, Arden, sitting by a fountain in her chair. And next to her is Lianga, your other sibling. She's 18 now. You saw her in Convergence last. She's got these thick glasses on, and even in the middle of the party here, she's got like a stack of books that she's hugging close to her chest. And like her robes look a little disheveled, like maybe she slept in the library and like just woke up in time for this. Her hair looks like it was just put together with magic. And you lock eyes across the way with your family, and Lianga like startles a bit. She straightens. She's not as like shocked to see you as your mother was, because she did see you just a couple months ago. But it's still good. It's still good for her to like see that you're here, and she gives a tentative little wave.
Oh, that softens the blow a little. Dewey, Lianga's really smart. Come on, you'll get along. And Oka tentatively starts to lead themselves and Dewey over toward Lianga. But I think the rest of the party can mingle as they wish.
Okay. I think we're gonna cut to Oka and Dewey like getting to Lianga and Arden. Lianga, here, I'm so sorry. She hands her big stack of scrolls and books to like a servant, apologizing profusely for how heavy they are. The servant goes, like this old gnome man, just like crumples underneath all the books. Turns to you, Oka, and just tentatively like wants to hug you but isn't sure.
Come here.
Oka, and Lianga just like wraps her like arms like around your torso and like squeezes. You're here. You're really here, and you returned, Dream Hunter. And shh, Lianga, we should be careful how we watch our tongues in public. Yes, Mother. I'm so sorry. You're here. You're here.
Yeah. Lianga, yeah, I am. I'm here, like I said I would. Right?
Her glasses are fogging up with tears and emotion as she like quickly pulls them off and starts scrubbing at them. It's so good to see you. I missed you.
When have you had time to miss me between your studies?
Oh, don't get me started. It's so weird to have you back here. It's almost like you never left. But your hair's so short.
Is that really the thing? And Oka's like got like fucked up scars and tattoos, like all like
She traces like the scars on your arms, and like lingers on a culling edge tattoo on your forearm. These are new, but you're still Oka. I can tell. You're still Oka.
sometimes I need the reminder. Lianga, this is Cardew Quirk, one of the greatest inventors Andake's ever seen.
Really? And in common, she turns and like, it's good to meet you. My name is Lianga Hien. I'm 11th born.
It's so nice to meet you. And Dewey's like shuffling through the books on the stack that the whole servant's holding. And it's like, oh, you're into alchemy. Oh, is this what you're studying? This is really advanced stuff.
Oh, well, these are the subjects for this year's imperial examination. Alchemy, literature, philosophy, history, all 8 languages, biology, chemistry. And she goes on to like list like a ton of other subjects.
You'll have to teach me a thing or two sometime.
Well, if Oka says you're one of the greatest inventors to have ever lived, I would be honored to learn from you.
Lianga is extremely proficient in the healing arts, as is tradition in the palace.
Oh, it's nothing. It's just some minor necromancy I dabble in.
That's really impressive. You got to show me sometime. I just can't seem to get this. I'm still working on things like cure wounds, so you got to show me sometime.
Well, I would be humbled to. I would be honored to. I'd be more than happy. You're one of Big Sibling's friends, so if you're a friend of theirs, you're a friend of mine.
And I think Oka almost like pulls away for a moment to kind of catch V, Rev, and Manaya in the crowd to wave them over.
I think Manaya was already on her way, but like having trouble getting through the crowd.
V, on the other hand, has been walking around a bit, kind of just scoping out the space a little bit. And while she's doing it, Gamble's been in her hands and she's just been shuffling through cards. And she just happens, I don't know, to pull the Wheel of Fortune card while
Oh my
walking
god.
through. And as she walks, she's still a distance from Prince Moa. And she just flicks confusion at she whispers to the card, be gentle, and flicks confusion at anyone within his range within 10 feet could become confused for a little bit. But I just want like a little spice. I don't want like, them freaking out. I just want the like, wait, where are we? What? Like just for a moment, they get a little confused about what's going on in their life.
Oh my god.
Gentle spell.
A gentle spell. What level spell is that?
So let me 4th level.
Gentle 4th level spell.
Okay, I don't think she can counterspell that. So yeah, you cast the spell. What does it look like?
So she's just walking by. She's got the cards in her hand, and she's like flicking it around, and she just is like looking over here. She knows Prince Moa is behind her, and she just like almost like just flicks the card in that direction, and it kind of sparks up green for a second and hits Prince Moa. And then everyone just sort of, if you were really tuned into the weave, you could probably see this little bit of like purple bubble, but it's real imperceptible to the untrained eye, engulfing him and his like little entourage. And then, yeah, that dissipates, and then they're just kind of left a little confused for a little bit.
Okay, I need you to make a stealth or sleight of hand check to disguise that it was you who cast the spell.
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna use inspiration on that nat one.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here. An unnatural 20.
Okay. Unnatural 20, you just sort of hear it. What? Where are we? What's going on? Where am I? Why am I? And it's just like murmuring from like Prince Moa, like by the archway, right? And they're just sort of like discombobulated. Maybe you're smirking a bit as you go up to Arden and Oka and the rest of the party.
Mhm.
But it seems like you've gotten away with it for now. As this like purple cloud, psychic cloud sort of settles over them and befuddles their senses for a moment. Rev bumps you as the two of you walk through the crowd. That was risky.
Risk and reward, baby. That's like very whispered back. I'm not doing the finger guns as V. No, just risk and reward, baby.
Let's see what the rest of us are up to, eh?
Yeah, let's. It seems like we're being gathered over here.
And with that, I think Rev, Manaya, and V also pull up to Oka's family.
Oka kind of the same as when they first had seen their mother. They kind of like get on their knees in front of her wheelchair and offer their like hands on her knees. Ma, these are the friends I was telling you about. This is Manaya Widra, Cardu
Naya
Quirk,
kneels.
V, and Rev. They're my friends. They've been taking care of me.
Thank you all so much for taking such good care of my eldest. I'm Makoya's mother. My name is Arden Hien. I am the fourth wife and consort here of the Emperor. I hope you all find your stay here amenable and enjoyable. I apologize for the commotion earlier. Things can get quite exciting here in my courtyard.
Ma, Rev is, and Oka kind of looks back, priestess of the Raven Queen. I was thinking maybe she could help you.
Oh, please, only if you... It would be my honor, ma'am. And Rev sort of strides forward. Lianga sort of like hovers nearby, like an anxious little butterfly. She's going, I did some looking myself. Based on how you speak common, I assume, are you from the court? Well, never mind. I dabble in a little bit of necromancy myself, and I have a diagnosis, but I'm not sure. Well, maybe I could have gotten it wrong. Let me have a look here. And Rev kneels in front of Arden and places a hand on your mother's chest. Takes a deep breath. Breathe with me. And they exhale together. And there's like a long stretch of silence as Rev does nothing but just like touch your mom's chest and like close her eyes. And then she opens her eyes and your mom looks a little lightheaded. Oh my, your eyes are different colors. Just like Oka's now, with that red line. Take it easy. She needs to take it easy. Yes, of course. Thank you, Rev. Ma, are you okay? And Lianga goes over to, like, take care of your mom. Rev stands and addresses Oka.
Yeah, who kind of, like, peels away from them for just a second.
She has a grim look on her face and says, word in private?
Oka nods. I guess the party can be there also, I guess. It's fine with me.
Okay. Just stepping away from Lianga and your mom, Rev and the rest of the party and Oka, she says, the sickness, if you can call it that has gripped your mother is not physical in nature. It's not genetic in origin. It's psychological. For a long time, your mother has been struck with
Grief.
Yes, grief. And I'm afraid she she does not have a lot of time left, Oka. I give it a few weeks. Maybe a month or two, at most, if she continues down this path.
And if she doesn't?
If she doesn't... Go ahead.
I'm back. Isn't that the problem? That I was gone.
It is. But you're back as a ghost, Oka. She doesn't know how long you'll be back for. She doesn't know what new dangers you might thrust yourself into after all this is done.
Will you stay? Keep an eye on her with me.
Yeah, I will. We'll do our best to keep her here on this plane, to keep her alive. I would not want to reap her soul.
Oka's look kind of like fades away. Like they're somewhere else completely for a moment, and they come back. If anyone was going to do it, I'd want it to be you.
Yeah, don't worry. If it ever comes to that, I'll make sure Grimm keeps her safe. And when the stars are back, I'll ferry her safely to the after.
Good. Now we have an assassin to find.
That we do. And Rev's gonna sort of like turn out and like fan out the party a little bit to like look at this gathering of nobles. And I think on that, with like Oka, Manaya, Dewey, V, and Rev looking out over this courtyard at all of the nobles gathered here in the wake of this renouncement from Toya, in the wake of Rev's grim news about the state of Oka's mother's health, we're gonna close out the session. So thank you everyone for tuning in to Arc 4 Episode 5 of Transplanar RPG. Excuse me, I've been your GM and producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me on Twitch, not Twitch. You can find me on Itch, Patreon, and Twitter at @ByConnieChong. That's BYCONNIECHANG. Give me a follow. I'd love to connect further on various social media platforms. With that, I'm going to pass along introductions to Lyra.
Hello, everyone. My name's Lara. I use they, she pronouns. I'm the artistic director of Shout, Minnesota's trans and gender diverse voices in all trans choir based in the Twin Cities. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Shout Minnesota. I'm asthmatic. I can't do a whole... Anyway, go ahead, Erica.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erica. I played V, and you can find me here on Twitch or any social media platform at Erica New Girl. And hey, if you're looking for a new podcast, maybe check out the Scorpio's Den, where I share embarrassing stories about my life. Max?
Hey, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. I play Dewey Quirk, local researcher and bullying victim by Rev. You can find me doing my sewing, very gay sewing stuff on Etsy and Instagram at Stitchmonger. So come look at the stuff I've been making. Pass it to C.
Hey y'all, my name is CA, is they, them pronouns. I just got top surgery and I play the former prince, Oka who's having the worst family reunion imaginable. You can find me posting very gay, very trans art on social medias, pretty much anywhere at @PieSharpArt, occasionally on Twitch at @pie_sharp. And with that, I'll pass it back to Connie.
You got to stick around for the raid. We're going to be raiding the Leona Maple, who is a cultural consultant and TTRPG all-around streamer, person of color. Toss them a follow, even if you can't stick around. Say hello, say that Transplanar sent you. Use the raid message. It is now sub emotes, not follower only, so you can use the Awoka in the raid chat. Gonna start that raid over there. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will be back next Saturday for our main campaign. That is going to be October 23rd at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time. In the meantime, stick around on Tuesdays, this coming Tuesday, October 19th, for the Hounds of Mercy, episode 5. It's gonna be tons of fun. If you like queer disasters, you're gonna love the Hounds of Mercy at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time, October 19th. That's Tuesday. We love you all so much. Stick around for the raid, and peace.